So where do your what you call the Yogibuilder hips, where do they come in there?
So that's the beauty about my way of doing strength training is it doesn't matter if you're so I say yogi and bodybuilder as the extremes in training, right? So somebody who's geared more towards like flexibility, mobility, and all the good stuff. And the other side of that equation, which is more on the bodybuilding side, which is gaining muscle mass and tension and just getting a lot of blood flow in your muscles, and maybe not the most flexible or mobile ones. So the point in my training system is we have to be able to execute the system for both at the same time with the same exercise in the same class, because otherwise it would not be a principle and would not make sense. Let me give you a practical example. As you guys probably already know, I love the box squat. So here's how we do box squats for one class where let's stick with yogi and bodybuilders, where there's yogis in there and when there's bodybuilders in there. So we have two ways of adapting this exercise, the box squat. The, the principles stay the same. I won't repeat them with knees stay back and hips behind, whatever. The point is, what does the yogi need? The yogi needs not literally more range of motion or more depth. The yogi needs like a little bit more of loading and a little bit more of tension. That's what they're lacking, right? So how can we do that? Maybe we'll start the yogi to a higher plate or a higher box, so they can use more weight in the beginning, right? The ultimate goal for both of them is squat 300 kilos to 90 degrees perfectly with our skill of position and skill of tension. That's the goal for both of them, right? The approach for the yogi is, as I've just explained, and the approach for the bodybuilder is, well, maybe we're going to reduce the weight a little bit and make sure they're going to go lower so they can create obviously more skill of position in here and reduce the tension a little bit, or to be more precise, focus the tension more precisely on the hamstring and the glutes and not just blowing up the legs and quads and all that stuff. So those are two different tiers of how you can train a yogi and a bodybuilder with the same exercise, with the skill of position and tension in the same class. And that's what I call the yogi builder system.
And how would you go about if you run into a bodybuilder, for instance, now as we take that example, who has like tremendous stiffness and a lack of movement in his feet, for instance? How would you go about that? Would you also give him on a kind of like a higher target with lighter weight, or just from a practical standpoint?
Okay, so as I've said before, answering the first question, whatever the issue, the problem in the lower body is, start at the hips and make sure the person is able to load a neutral hip and move the neutral hip somewhere and then do body weight exercises. Okay, that's the principle. So I don't even care where that stiffness is in your lower body, whether that's in your hips, so hip flexors, for example, whether or hamstrings, whether it's in your calves, which more or less is stiffness in your foot, wherever that stiffness is, it doesn't matter because as soon as you set the neutral hips ready in a neutral position with engaging glutes, and then you start moving those hips somewhere, muscles are going to adjust in terms of tension and in terms of position. Because trust me, the muscles are attached at the same place, whether you're stiff or not. So we have to work on that, however you want to call it range of motion, under tension, call it mobility. I don't care. So for a stiff person, that means that muscle is weak. It's not stiff. It's just not allowing you to access the full range because, well, maybe because you have not proved it to your body that this is safe. That's the whole point. And your body wants you to be safe, not you specifically, just your spine and your like vital systems in your body. So that's why you have to literally prove to your system, okay, I understood what the task is. I have to create more tension with position here. And once you start proving it, your body's like, okay, now I can let go of that nervous system, whatever you want to call it, hurdle or blocking. And all of a sudden, you will start realizing you get stronger and more mobile at the same time. Because it is the same thing. There's no difference between getting stronger and getting more mobile. Or it's dangerous to work more towards mobility without getting stronger, and vice versa. It's very dangerous trying to get stronger without getting more mobile. So it is exactly the same